Good morning to all of you, or if you're not in Europe, good evening or even good night. Welcome to today's webinar, how to successfully set up a remote development team, a nearshore development team in this case. I'm wondering if you can all hear me very well. So there is a chat function, there's a Q&A function on the left side of your screen. So hopefully you can see that, and you can or let me know whether you can hear me, yes or no. So please let me know whether you can hear me. Okay, I see people who can hear me letting me know. Thanks. Okay, so just while we wait for others to come, please, we have a small poll just to check and see whether all of you have experience with nearshore development. So please, you see the poll on your screen. Please let us know if you have any experience or if you have lots of experience or not. I'm quite curious, of course. I see here different numbers. Yes, no. Now people with 5-star ratings, so they have lots of experience, and also people who have little experience. So it's very good that you're all here. I see here that someone, of course, people who can't hear you won't let you know. You are absolutely right. Someone who left a message. So maybe our moderator can just broadcast a message. Everyone can hear us. And while we wait for more people to come in, because it's quite busy, so it's amazing that all of you want to join this webinar. While we wait for them, just to let me know what experience you have with the poll you have in front of you. And I see here that quite a few people have experience with nearshore development, so I'm curious. Of course, I'm curious why you're here and what you want to learn. I'll get back to that later. Just waiting just a bit, and just if you haven't done that yet, or if you experience any issues with audio or video, just maybe rejoin, and see whether it works, or let us know. This webinar will be recorded, so at the end you will get a link to the webinar as well, so you can easily review it later. Okay, so maybe we should just move on to the next sheet, the introduction. I'll tell you a bit about shore teams, about why we started, how we started. We started out a number of years ago as a digital agency, as an IT agency, just development ourselves in the Netherlands. And while we were growing and looking for people, it was getting harder and harder for us to get the right people, and also they became more and more expensive. So finding that combination was difficult for us, and we had real issues because we had plenty of clients who wanted to move forward, but we couldn't help them. So we started looking elsewhere, and that's how we ended up trying things in Eastern Europe and also in Asia, and we've had good experiences and bad experiences. And I believe that especially the bad experiences, the things that didn't work out well, those triggered us to fill that gap and to evolve into short teams. And nowadays, if we fast forward, nowadays we have, I believe, we are in the situation that we have, on the one hand, clients who are actually looking for the same thing that we were doing a number of years back, and now helping many clients, succeeding with their nearshore or Offshore Development Team. And so today we're going to share at least 2 cases, and one of our partners is also here, as a guest. So welcome to all of them already. And we'll share those cases and share also, the experiences they have and how they've made it a success. So I would say, without further ado, let's move forward and let's move forward to what we're going to discuss today. So we'll have a small introduction about what is nearshore development. I think most of you will know, but at least we'll address it shortly. Then we'll go to why you should go for remote development, right? So why that is a good alternative to everything you have. And finally, then we go to why you should go for nearshore development, because we have offshore development as well. We'll go to our partner Amsterdam Standard, and then the client cases, some final words, and in the end we'll have a small giveaway just for you to help you move forward if you're looking to to build your own team on a nearshore or offshore location, but in this case nearshore. Okay, so what is our definition of nearshore development? We are based in Europe. We're based in the Netherlands. We consider nearshore development to be, I would say, on a 2-3 hour flight maximum. So generally, that would be Europe. I would say most development, at least nearshore development agencies, they are based in Eastern and Central Europe. Some, of course, also in Southern Europe. If you're based elsewhere on the planet, your definition might be different. We consider Europe to be nearshore, and I would say Asia, and also some African countries where we have partners, and some I would say Central and Latin American countries to be offshore. So the difference is really the offshore is it's a longer flight. Usually it's a bit cheaper than nearshore, so both have their benefits, but also take into account that those things take more time to travel to, for example. If you look at the locations, I would say at least most of our partners, we have over 100 partners worldwide. I would say most of our nearshore partners, they are based in Central Europe, like Poland or the Czech Republic. They are based in Eastern Europe. Think of countries like Belarus, Romania, Lithuania, Bulgaria, Ukraine. And if you look at Southern Europe, Spain and Portugal are most important, I would say. So, okay, let's move forward. That's our, vision on nearshore development in this case. So why should you go for remote development? Well, we've had the issues with growing our team. So expanding your team, if you want to build a team, and it's hard to get the people here, or you need to shrink your backlog, so you have lots of work still left to do, or in some cases you want to increase your output, so you want to make sure that you speed up. I would say another benefit of nearshore development is scaling up and down when you need it, right? Usually most of our clients have a couple of people who are, I would say, the core of the remote development team, and if they want to scale up because they have an implementation or anything else that they need extra people, they can easily scale up and can also easily scale down again. Of course, you can benefit from lower rates, especially if you compare it to local agencies. If you compare it to in-house developers, of course it depends on let's say the country you are in, but also the country your development partner is in. And so I would say in many cases it's not that big of a difference, because in all cases, they need to be paid for also for a housing and desking and everything, same as you, right? So there are other benefits besides saving money. You can save money, but again, it depends on where your remote development team is and what you're used to pay in-house. If you compare it to local agencies, like I said, it will definitely save you money. And another thing that helps, it will improve your own processes, right? Because these are all people and developers who switch regularly on, I would say, development on businesses and type of developments. So they get a lot of experience, which actually helps your business. You then choose for nearshore development, because, like I said, there is a difference between offshore development and nearshore development. I would say that one of the most important things is the common values and culture you have, right? So if you look at Europe, people have similar mindsets, and which can definitely work in your benefit. You also have similar time zones. It's 1-2 hour time difference, so you have a lot of what we call golden hours, the overlapping hours. So if you have an in-house team, they can work together, right? So that's one of the other benefits. I mean, if you compare this to offshore development, we have clients who like to work the clock around. So they have a team, let's say in their own country, in Western Europe, they have a team in, or at least in Europe, maybe in Eastern Europe, they have a team in Asia and in the Americas. So they can work 24/5, I would say, not 24/7. Most of them don't do that. Okay, so and because of the say the distance traveled to, you have more influence and control, right? So it's easier to communicate because you have more golden hours, and it's easier to visit each other. So that is, you can see it as well. It's reduced. You have the reduced travel time and cost if you compare this to offshore as well. So flying, of course, to somewhere in Europe is cheaper, and it will save you time. The next benefit would be that you have shared legislation. Of course, it's not for every country, but a lot of European countries, they deal with GDPR, for example. So that's one thing. But we have similar legislation, which can also work in your benefit, especially when you deal with, I would say, to you, very important intellectual property. And there's also, of course, a balance between the cost and quality. As I mentioned, depending on the country, it doesn't always have to save you money, but I can guarantee that I would say the quality of development is in our experience, definitely at the same level or better than in your own country. It's simply because these countries are university cities who actually train especially for this. So it makes it interesting to get the right balance between the cost and the quality you get. So my question would be in this case, and maybe you can use the chat for that. What would you like to learn in this webinar? So you can use the chat. The chat is on the left side. It says Q&A, and so I would like to know, what would you like to learn? And share the things you would like to learn. Okay, so we get someone, Gary here, for example, says, I'd like to learn what I need to consider before deciding on nearshoring. So hopefully we'll get to that later. Of course, like I said, we have some cases, and you have the options to ask questions as well. I see Raymond is asking how to protect my intellectual property. It's one of the things we'll discuss later, so that will definitely be addressed. Let me see. My biggest challenge is to find the right candidates. That's what I'd like to get out of this webinar. That's Khaled. Thank you. Okay. I would like to learn how to land clients. It says undefined, so I don't know who that is, but welcome undefined. Okay, so I see here as one as well, how do we ensure continuity? And we need our team to understand the business and products. It's also from Raymond, thank you. Okay. How to manage the varying workload. I think we have lots of interesting questions. Of course, we can't treat them all. We'll try to get to most of them. Well, I would say if some questions will stay unanswered, we'll get back to it after the webinar as well. I believe we have, from all of you, we have something like an email address, so we can easily at least let you know the answer to your question. So keep asking questions. We like that. So keep asking questions. Also during the cases, if you have questions about the cases, that's interesting, right? So. And we will address the questions also after we pitch the case. Okay, so the question is, I would say, if you consider nearshore development, or you want to have more information about what we can do for you, or if we can help you, you can schedule a free discovery call. Right? It's the URL is on your screen. It's extremely simple. shoreteams.com/call. So maybe you can write it down. I'll add it at the end of the webinar as well, so you can see it there as well. But if you have, if you have questions, if we can help you out, if you want to know more about nearshore development or how to succeed doing that, or you already have a team and you have questions about that, and we will be more than happy to help you out. Okay, so let's go to our first guest, I would say, which is Amsterdam Standard. It's Leopold van Oosten. He's the CEO of Amsterdam Standard. So welcome, Leopold. I hope you can hear me, and I believe that you are in as well, right?
Yeah. Good morning, Sander.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm here.
Good morning. So first of all, welcome, of course, for being here. I would like to give you the floor just to introduce yourself and to introduce Amsterdam Standard, of course.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for hosting this webinar. So I'm the founder of Amsterdam Standard. We are a company that supports other fast-growing tech companies, mostly in the Netherlands, but we also have a few other clients in Europe, and one of them is here today as well, Saindi from Vienna, Austria. I founded the company when I was still a student. I was studying at the hotel school, but those were also the early days of the internet. I was founding some startups there. Those were rather successful, but never really interesting. So that actually evolved into an internet agency. After running that agency for like 8 years, and we were based in Amsterdam, we ran into the same problems that you actually described in your introduction. So for us, the labor market in Amsterdam became very difficult, actually. We were not able to attract the right developers anymore. We were selling way too many projects. So every time when we sold something, we actually created a bigger problem for ourselves. Also, the loyalty of the developers became less. So initially, when we were still a small group, we knew each other very well. And that was, of course, a reason for people to stay for longer. But after some time, we really found that we were now a regular company where people come and go. And then in this labor market, it's just a challenge to deliver the quality that you actually want to deliver. So that was for me the starting point to do some experiments all over the world with outsourcing some of our projects. We tried 8 countries, I think 4 continents, and we worked with actually very nice companies, but in the end, all our projects failed in some way. And that was not necessarily their fault. It was also just because of the fact that we were very inexperienced with doing that. We didn't know much about project management. Even locally, we were actually not best in that. But yeah, in the end, we actually found out that it's like more complicated than just sending the project requirements there and expecting a good delivery within a budget, within an amount of time that we agreed upon. Usually their interests were other than ours. We just wanted to have a very good code quality. We wanted to have things like still having this continuity with them. So let's say if we call them a month later after the project was finished, we still wanted to have access to the same developers who worked on that, and all those things were actually quite complicated. There were some cultural differences and all that. So it was yeah. So we actually realized that it was not the way to go for us. So I started hiring people, or I tried to hire people again in Amsterdam, and I was lucky. I bumped into one developer who just moved out of Krakow in Poland and decided to work for us. And this person, Pavel, he explained me after some months working in our company that the quality of my team was actually very low, and that we should consider hiring some of his former colleagues in Krakow. So, of course, I tried that. So I sent them all invitations. Please come over to Amsterdam. We have a great city, a great country. But they were all like, yeah, whatever, good. This is not a third world country. You can come over here. Everything is great here. So we have this. We have it all up and running. So we decided to go there. I was lucky to meet a really nice guy, Thomas, who is still my business partner. We had a good match. He was an excellent developer, but more than that, he's also able to manage teams, attract people, run the offices. So yeah, shortly after that, we established our Polish company, and that was in the early days actually just to facilitate our own agency with better teams. But at some point, there were like so many good people still coming there, and we didn't really want to grow our own agency, that we decided to offer this to other, let's say, friended companies in the Amsterdam region. Because I just saw on their websites that they had many vacancies already open for a long time. So I told them this, like, okay, so we have some extra desks, we have good guys coming here, we can just, set them up with a computer and all that. And that worked quite well. But of course, there after a year, we also got, feedback that, okay, the guys were nice, they were smart, but still this was not what they actually hoped for. So we just found out that it requires more management around it, that it's like a different onboarding process than usually locally. So we started learning from that, and I guess like after 3 years of doing that, we decided that we can really make a business out of this. We scaled down our agency activities, and we started focusing only on building teams for, like I said, fast-growing tech companies here locally. And that's what we're still doing. At the moment, we have 4 offices, 3 in Poland, and still 1 in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. There we have our design team in Amsterdam, and in Poland we have 3 offices where we only do development. So there's no design there. We pretty much do all technologies except Java. Maybe later I'll explain you why. We are with 115 people at the moment, and still growing. Yeah, so that's maybe the first introduction. I can talk for hours, but
yeah. I can imagine. You know, it's a whole history, and I would say it's amazing to see how such things evolve. Do you consider this to be luck or not?
Yes, everything is luck in life. Of course, it's also. I mean, we just bumped into this. I was lucky to find a very good person who is able to manage that business there. I have zero worries about the operations in Poland. I consider him to be much more professional than I am. So that's awesome that I bumped into him. And of course, also the market circumstances here are great for us. I mean, this sector is still growing even in this year. So yeah,
Yeah,
there's a big amount of luck in there, but of course we also work our asses off to become successful and to become
of
better
course.
every
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
But yeah, I think initially it started with some luck. Yeah.
yeah. What kind of clients are you most proud of?
Um,
Without saying sign D or newborn line or.
yeah, well, both are awesome. Of course, very different clients, but well, let's say in general, we are proud of clients that are open for feedback, actually in both ways, because we're also open very much for the feedback of our clients, but just clients that, worked with us for some longer and that we've seen that, that on both sides we were able to improve processes and make them successful, or clients that came from very difficult backgrounds where they were actually clashing with former developers or former partners, where we had to take over stuff that was really on fire, and that with some hard work we actually managed to make them successful again and to relieve all their problems. Like so many of our clients, they start with us in those difficult situations that they, for example, have a lock-in at their former partner, and that we are able to kind of fix that problem, that we are able to make sure that they never have to worry again about hiring or fixing problems when developers are leaving, because that is considered to be a very stressful factor here in this market here locally.
Mhm.
Whenever one of your developers in your team says, can we maybe have a conversation next week, and it's almost the end of the month, then most of the people will almost get a heart attack, because they know they will probably resign because some recruiter they pulled them into some other company. And that's really what we hear a lot from our clients here locally, that once they really started working with us, that all those worries were not their worries anymore, and that we are really fixing those things for them, and
Yeah,
that they have this flexibility. And that's cool to make their lives better and to make sure that they
yeah.
indeed can scale up and down. That's really nice
That
for us.
must be, satisfying, of course.
Yeah,
That's why you do it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so I would say let's introduce our next guest, who will also join the conversation, which is Sign D. Today are with us Bernard Reiter, the CEO, and Lisandro Aguilar, COO. So thanks, guys, for taking the time. I know you have busy schedules, so we really appreciate it that you can be with us today. Please introduce yourselves, I would say.
All right, fantastic. Do you hear us?
Yep.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Perfect, perfect. So here, I'm Bernie, founder and CEO of SignD, and with me is Lisandro, our COO, and actually, yes.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Well, welcome, and thanks, Sandra, for having the opportunity to share our experiences and our findings here with this awesome collaboration that we're having with Leo and his team. Let me give a very, very brief introduction of what SignD is. Basically, our business is very, very simple. We turn consumers into verified clients. What's behind is not as simple, because we're a RegTech company that is solving this global onboarding problem, where regulated industries are usually forced to have quite cumbersome and complicated processes called onboarding and KYC. and we found out a way, or we wanted to find a way which makes that much easier for the consumers, to easier get to bank accounts, to easier get their loans, to easier get all of those things done in a very fast way. And at the same time, find a way how we can provide a very simple and powerful service for our clients, which are usually those banks and telecom operators that are fighting to get those consumers on board properly. We're coming actually from a very concrete use case in our beginning. We started the company in February 2019, and there were new regulations upcoming for the telecoms industry in Austria here, where people needed to provide a proof of identity when buying a prepaid SIM card. So we started off, developed some things with local developers here, and launched a first product, very limited, very simple, just a couple after we formed the company. And we identified very early on the need to do much more, because we saw companies, especially those regulated companies, they are really struggling in navigating this RegTech space, this compliance space. There's thousands of operators, there's thousands of solutions out there. It's hard to integrate them. It's hard to identify what are the right ones, what are the ones that are also going to stay, because regulations are changing, technology is changing. And we just said, this is the sweet spot where we want to jump in. We created a one-stop shop. We had the vision back then. To create a one-stop solution where our clients are integrating once with us and have access to a range of different functionalities, where they can draft their customer journeys, where if technology changes, if regulation changes, we can actually adapt for them without them having to do any new integrations. And sitting here in Austria, looking for ways how to best do that, and trying to find the proper developer for this journey, which is actually quite a big crusade. We were talking to Sander and saying, all right, this is a super big venture we're looking at. We have a lot of interest from the industry. We know exactly what we want to do, but we're looking for who we can do it from. So please help us here and see how we can best ramp up our development strategies and our development capabilities, because we were just not able to find proper talent in Austria.
Yeah, Bernie, I saw. I just looked it up earlier. I would say it's one of your first messages to me. It says this. I'm actually looking. So this is an email from you. I'm actually looking for support for my identity venture. It's all about an app, some biometrics, distributed storage, scanning IDs, and some machine learning. As a topping, I'll add a zero-knowledge principle to complete to a nice and challenging recipe. I'm having a hard time to find the right cooks here in Austria at the right quality/price relation. Right. So that was your. So I looked it up, and as we look where you stand now, you were just looking to have someone to help you out, and in early stage, because we've been in touch before, even before that. We met or at least we connected at Web Summit in Lisbon in 2017. So that's been a while, and of course, you met Lissandro, and I believe you form a great team. So, when we first dealt with your case, it was, it was small. Of course, you just wanted to find out how to move forward, and we introduced. What we usually do is we look, of course, at your needs and where you want to go, and where you want to be in the future. And I was say, taking all of those things in mind, we introduced a couple of partners, as we usually do, who are I would say, a perfect fit for your case. And we've discussed them multiple times. And in the end, I advised you, of course, to go with Amsterdam Standard. And I'm very happy that you followed that advice, because I believe you're doing a great job right now. You managed to get amazing funding in in this COVID-19 times, which is amazing as well. So I would say if you look at our process. You went, of course, after we hooked you up, I would say, with Amsterdam Standard. You went to visit their Krakow office for a kickoff meeting. How did you guys experience this?
I'll probably pass it on to Lisandro here.
Well, I mean, I think the most impressive part was, of course, the attitude of the people. I mean, I'm used to the culture now here in Austria. I am not Austrian, but I do see the difference between warm blood and not so warm blood. So the way that we were received in Krakow really reminded me of where I come from, because it was like really lots of smiles and very friendly people, all of them. They immediately showed how they go about things, how they set up things. Immediately we started to draft the ideas that we came, and we came up with basically the scheme of the architecture of everything. So everything was just like automatic, with a very nice flow,
Natural.
very natural. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
like we were made for each other. I think. Yeah. I mean, in a nutshell, this was the impression at the beginning, and when we were coming back, we were feeling really very, very, very good. Yeah.
The only downside was that Leo showed us the best places in Krakow, so we're really hooked into the city now. And is coming to Krakow not only to have a very, very productive, and this is actually a very important thing, very important learning that I saw. We were coming regularly to meet, to discuss things, and in person, which wasn't possible during COVID, obviously, but we managed well as well. But especially during those face-to-face meetings, they're extremely productive. We're covering a lot of ground, and this is super important because with the clients, it was super good to hear those words actually that I sent you as the initial thing. If I just think about what we achieved in the meantime, serving some of the leading banks and telecom operators, crypto exchanges, remittance companies all over the world now, we couldn't have done that without this very intense collaboration, and those workshops, those face-to-face things, they were really instrumental to it. And they were also the basis, I think, why it was so easy to continue during this COVID without having them even, because we know how we work, and even in a scaling up situation, which we did in when did we properly scale up? It was May. Yeah. Around May, yeah. We scaled up the team significantly for new developments. It was super support from Leo and team here to do that in a super efficient way. But even with the new team members, it was just very, very, very smooth and extremely productive right from the beginning. I think this is something which we could only have managed through proper communication. If you have a good basis for communication, it's just like if the people would sit next to you in another room.
I think it would be
so
we set up things in a way that it was possible to simply keep the momentum. And now it's possible to not necessarily meet so often now during COVID, but since now we are basically used to each other, we know how each other work. So it's very, very, very smooth. Yeah.
So I would say one of the learnings would be to at least meet each other, on a regular basis, if that's possible, of course. Now it might be a bit more difficult. Hopefully next year it will be better, and keep the momentum, of course, and make sure that you communicate well. And especially in the beginning, when you are getting to know each other, it's most likely more important. Now you know each other, and you know what you can expect from each other. So I think Leopold, maybe it's good to ask you, how did you experience the process with Signed, and what did you add to make it work?
Okay, yeah, sure. Well, the most important thing for us is that, let's say, this sales process that you go through together is not just a one-sided thing. It's also, yes, a client tries to find a good partner, but we also try to find a good fit with potential clients. Because, let's say, our challenge is also just to keep our developers happy and to keep them on board. Because otherwise they'll just leave us, right? We need to create a great company that looks good, that has like all the nice extras, and we need to pay our people well and need to train them. But most important for them is that we find challenging and interesting clients that actually, suit them at that stage of their career. So in this case, this initial workshop that we organized in Krakow was also important for our team to actually see if this project was like, their next project, and if there was like a personal click between them and Bernie and Lisandro, who came to Krakow. So if during such sessions we would see, okay, we can actually do it, but maybe we need different people for it, that would also be like the right moment for us to actually, realize that, and then to maybe suggest some changes later. In this case, the lead developer that we put there actually came from a project where he was just not challenged, and he was, let's say, nagging internally that his next project should be way more challenging, and otherwise, it would kind of stop his personal development. So then we found this awesome roll diamond, and we were actually laughing like, okay, this is going to be cracking his brains for the next 2 years, which is actually true, and it still does. But it's that those kind of things are like super crucial to become successful, because just putting the developer there that has like, that fills the checkboxes, so has experience with this or that technology, it's not enough. That's why this is also for me the difference between nearshoring, where actually you see each other and you meet each other, and offshoring, where you just send the project somewhere. So this first those first meetings, the first communication, and having beers with each other, visiting each other's environments, getting drunk, all that is just super important to establish a relationship, which is like the basis for successful collaboration.
I can imagine. If, by the way, if I've mentioned it before, but if people have questions for either Leopold or Bernard and Lisandro, just put them in the chat, and we'll get to them in a bit. Okay, so I would say, Bernard, Lisandro, you started with a few developers. You grew the team over time. What's the current size?
I think it's 11 people.
I think it's already 11 people, and I just wanted to stress what Leo said. So all the beers is super important, but even before the beers, I just looked up the message what Leo sent, and where we decided, okay, let's go for Amsterdam.
That's true.
It was like a final email fired out, because we took our time. We really took our time in evaluating, and he said, we looked at Sander, that obviously.
Yeah, he knows.
and Leo was proposing, like, so, okay, we looked at the case, we looked at the resources, it's super great, and you're going to get our Lionel Messi. And then we say, okay, let's meet up. let's nail that down. And now we already have Lionel Messi and Ronaldo.
Yeah, and we also have Ronaldo.
Really, really awesome.
Yeah, which is, it's every time it's amazing to hear, what you're doing and how you're progressing. And if you get to the size of the team you have right now, what do you do then? Maybe that's good for the audience as well. What do you do? Because one of the things that we experience is important for any team is to create some sort of feeling of belonging and team spirit. What do you do to create team spirit within your internal team, but also within the team which is based at Amsterdam Standard?
I mean, well,
I think that's
well. I think I mean, it's not a straightforward answer, because you can have teams that are absolutely demotivated when you take them. I don't think that this was the case, so we didn't have to struggle with that. The guys, as I said, I mean, they received us with a smile, and they were ready to jump in. They were ready to understand it. And from my perspective, I think one of the most important aspects that I experienced with Amsterdam Standard was that they buy the vision. It's not anymore like, okay, just give us the instructions, give us the tickets, and if you don't describe exactly what you want, then of course the result is not going to be exactly what you want. So in this case, it's not like that. I would say mainly from our Lionel Messi and our Scrum Master at Amsterdam Standard, both of them to begin with, they bought on the vision from us, and they committed themselves to understand what we understood of what we wanted, and to continue that as we go, to make themselves responsible for the outcome, and that it fits with the use cases, with the perspective also of the end clients. So everything was like we were all part of the same team from the beginning on, with the vision of the business flow. So it couldn't have been better.
Sorry, just one comment. I really agree to that, because whenever we're coming with new ideas and new functionalities and stuff like that, the team is challenging us also from the product side. So do you think that makes sense in that part? Maybe we can do it that way, that way. And this is a discussion where we are also, of course, listening. It's not like we just say, okay, this needs to be coded and stuff like that. We love that exchange. And I think also this is this inclusion in the becoming of the product, of the becoming of the vision, is something that we appreciate and really, really love.
I would say that maybe the most interesting thing within your response is share your vision, right? So make sure that they understand your vision and make them responsible, because then they will challenge you. If you're doing if you have questions whether you're doing the right thing, yes or no.
Yes.
Right. So okay. So. But Leopold, is that is this how you usually see these things happen, especially when you create, I would say, strong, healthy, long-term relationships, or maybe you have other tips as well?
Yeah, let's say for a bigger team, this is the way. This is really how it should be done, and it's awesome that it worked out so well. We're super proud of this. We have seen examples like for very small teams where it works completely different, but it's also successful. And there's also like actually a strong relation between client and developer. But for larger teams, this is awesome. To be honest, for me, it's really frustrating what happens with the COVID, because I'm a super fan of traveling. I really miss the fact that that the guys couldn't come for the last months, or that we couldn't easily send our people to Vienna. Right now, we finally have plans again that the whole team will actually visit them. They'll just rent a little bus. They will make it a happy bus and drive there. because they really feel the need, to see the team in Vienna. So that's cool, because they are like, yeah, they're really into that, and they actually feel that they need some time again. So that's it's still very important. But yeah, this is just very true what they said. But let's say the more invisible part here for Bernie and Lisandro, of course, is that we still talk with all the team members individually, and that we really try to work out well with them how it looks for them. Because it sounds like an amazing, successful story, and probably from the business side it is, but there are, of course, still like personal challenges to deal with. I mean, for the Lionel Messi, he is like, he has been through some hard times, so he needs personal attention, and he needs our guidance on maybe how to make it a little bit better for himself, because he's indeed not letting go of the issues, which they keep alive in the back of his brain, also on the weekends, and this can cause things. So we are like super aware of all the things that come with the success here. But there's also, for example, a change right now in the team. Like one of the people in the team decided to go, so that's up to us then. So we are really working on it to find a suitable replacement, and it's also our responsibility then to make sure that the knowledge will be transferred, that that everything will go smooth, that Sandy will not feel that in the daily operations. So yeah, it's just like a good working relation with each other, and yeah, it's really awesome that it worked out like this.
Yeah. Okay, and so Bernie, Lisandro, can you maybe say in a nutshell what the collaboration with the Amsterdam Standard changed for you guys?
Well, change is a big thing, because the stuff that we developed in the beginning, like more experimental, we kind of defined the whole process of how our development works. So it was not the change; it was more like the beginning, and of course it evolved with the functionalities and the expertise we added, and also the way how the structuring of the team worked. But the collaboration with Amsterdam Standard for us is the journey. Actually, this is our IT journey. So it's not like a change to before, but it actually really began with that. But now we're also into as we're growing the team, or the teams now. We're also shaping those, and we're specializing more, very much as we would probably do if that would have been an own team. So I wouldn't call it change; I would call it evolution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, and so how do you experience, and what is your opinion then on I would say our service, our introduction, for you to Amsterdam Standard?
Well, we love you for that, obviously.
We love you back, Bernie, and I miss you, and I miss wine to Vienna.
Yeah.
I mean, the way how that worked, the way how you kind of worked on our requirements, helped us also to make them understandable. Was really, really great, and it actually led to this partnership with Amsterdam Standard. But what I really, really loved is we're still engaged on a regular basis, and discussing topics and exchanging thoughts and ideas.
Yeah.
So it's not like a broker would just do, okay, here is it, take it, give me some money, and that's it. So this is really also a relation. Yeah. This is the most important thing here, I would say.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like I said, it's for us. It's also amazing to follow your journey, and to see what actually is being created from the collaborations we make happen, right? So that's our the things that makes us happy. And to see that actually the collaboration, is a happy long-term relation, and you build amazing things. Okay, so Let's move on. I would say I think there might be some questions. So let's go to the questions and let me see who we have some questions already. So let me see who I can ask these questions. How do you get these remote developers really involved at your company as a client? So this is Albert Jan asking. So this is a question for I would say for SignD. Right. So how do you get these remote developers really involved in your company as a client? I would say you might have answered it at least to some extent. Maybe are there other things you have done besides sharing your vision to make them, feel part of SignD and the actual process and product?
Well, maybe I can also
sure
explain a little bit how that's, for example, perceived. It's also like the small personal attentions. It's funny because during our collaboration with SignD, we moved from one office to our new facility. And I guess that was around the moment that they, for example, sent some really cute chocolates from Vienna. And one of our developers didn't receive them because they were sent to the old address, and it's still annoying him. I mean, it was just such a nice thing to show that they appreciate each other, and that they sent something like personalized from there with like a handwritten card. So just to show that they're like your real colleagues, that we are not like indeed like you mentioned, we're not just a partner where you send your money and we send some software back. It's really we want to make it the same as being your local developer, but then just better. And those kind of things, like all the personal things, and also just all the chit chatties about private stuff, following each other's lives, that makes it real, I guess. And that's how the way you build up a relationship, and then I guess you will do more for each other.
Yeah. I have an interesting question. How big? This one is well, both of you can answer them, but I believe. But let's have Bernie or Alessandro answer it. How big is your in-house team? Do you have internal developers that work with your remote team?
Well, actually, not. We don't have any developers in-house. We just began to have conversations with other ex-collaborators of mine from previous companies to assist in some things, but nothing that has the basis that we have for the framework and everything that is coming from our partnership with AMSTERDAM Standard. This is not something that we have yet. I mean, we are very small still, but our internal teams are more for managing what happens overall. Yeah, so we have, of course, people taking care of marketing, people taking care of sales, human resources, internal operations, also assisting in different aspects, but not in development, and nothing that has to be touching the IT.
Yeah, I think the reason for that is that we've seen that with AMSTERDAM, we don't have the need to build something, so that we could really focus on our core competence. Compliance is not just a technology challenge; it's a lot of a know-how challenge. So what we're doing is really putting together the most relevant components and putting those out to the market. So if we do have a reliable partner here, we call, as we call it, it's our IT division actually. So there was simply no need to do it, and it would have been super hard to set something up like that here on our at our headquarters.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do one more question and then move forward to the next case, because otherwise we'll run out of time. This is an interesting one. I feel it's slightly I would say slightly off topic, but very interesting, I believe, and I don't know whether you can answer it, but I believe very interesting for many people. how did you manage to receive sufficient funding, seeing the size of the project? And especially what I like is, especially because you managed to pull those things off in hard times like COVID.
Well, we have been in the lucky situation that on the one hand side, we were already a little bit government supported from the beginning. It was bootstrapped, but with those initial funds, let's call it that way, we have been able, together with a lot of work and a lot of dedication from the team in Krakow, to build some solid technology, which we have been able to sell to companies, to top tier banks, to top tier gambling companies, and this simply showed the traction. And
yeah,
it's, I mean, you know, COVID is taught us something. COVID taught us that we do not need to go to a bank, but we also cannot go to a bank to open a bank account. So
yeah,
our case became much more, not relevant because it was relevant before, but much more at the top of people's mind. And the investors understood that immediately. One thing I think this is very, very important to add here now, because I also heard it in the beginning when you were reading through a couple of questions. But some of the developers, they ask us, okay, but what's happening here? All the IPR, okay, you can protect it with contracts and stuff like that, but all the know-how is happening in with an outside partner. Because that's not true, because this is actually giving us the possibility to focus on really selling it, on building the product here. And this is actually what people then said, okay, this is a clever thing, actually. Of course, you can start doing that and trying to put up all those teams and failing with recruiting and all of those things. But this is technology. If you have somebody who can handle that, this is an advantage, so we can focus on the core business. This is actually what the investors understood after some initial reboots, where they said, okay, outsourcing of core functionality is not a good thing. But they really understood it, and especially now in times of COVID, they saw the difference and they saw the advantage of that.
Yeah, and you know, you had something to show. If you already have something to show, it's easier, of course, than you have a piece of paper and actually explaining it.
Definitely.
I think that's also makes a huge difference. Okay, so I believe we need to move forward. So thanks, Bernie DeSanto, thanks for your time. Now, please join us for a little bit longer, because you might get some questions at the end as well. Thanks for now, but like I said, I think we need to move forward to the next. Which is Nieuwbouw Online, and we have two of them joining us today, Mr. Alex van Ginneken and Mr. Gerjan Steenbeek. So welcome, guys, also for taking the time to be our guest today and have people, I would say, learn from your experiences and learn how to start creating their own remote development team. So please introduce yourselves, I would say.
Hi, I'm Alex van Ginneken, and I'm a co-founder and partner of Nieuwbouw Online. And we are building a real estate platform where we can sell new real estate very quickly by generating leads, consumer data, consumer data, ask questions to the consumers and enrich the lead information. And when there's a new real estate project coming alive, then we are able to push that real estate project very quickly to the market, because we already know everyone. And part of our system is of platform is also everything, the whole process to come to the contract, so that they really can buy the real estate. I'm Alex van Ginneken. I'm an entrepreneur since I think almost 20 years, and I've started a few companies, all IT related, all focus on online growth. And I want to introduce my business partner, Gerjan.
Yes, hello, good morning. My name is Gerjan Steenbeek. I'm the CTO of New Online. As Alex told, we're creating a platform for brokers to sell projects, new construction projects. And my role in this company is to do all the technical things, to manage the programmers and to build the roadmap we develop with our clients, our brokers. So that's our introduction.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we started out, I think we were initially in contact with Alex, and I remember that Alex, you said that no matter what, I would say, no matter what you offered a developer, you are based in, I would say, in north of the Netherlands, in Groningen. I would say quite in the center, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I understood that a developer simply because it was hard to park his car, right?
The last one, what did you say?
I would say it was hard to park his car to get into the center.
Yeah. We are located in the city center of Groningen, and we are looking for hiring new people. But as you know, in the Groningen market, it's very complicated to find new talent, and we already had good experience with hiring foreign people, foreign programmers from other countries, and and also in the past with my other companies, I had a lot of good experience with outsourcing development, software development to other countries. So when we wanted to grow our team, first of course we looked in Groningen itself, and we did found a few people, but we want to expand our team. And for my past experience and also the experience of hiring programmers from foreign countries, I knew that foreign programmers are more dedicated and more focused and have an other work ethic. So we were ready to make a step and to look further than the city of Groningen for software talent.
Yeah, and then of course, I would say we got into conversation about your case, and I would say one of the things that is important. I remember that you were looking for a real pro in PHP. Maybe Gerjan, you can tell a little bit background of what you would like to get developed. Now, what was the initial search?
I started myself programming a platform for brokers, I think 10 or 15 years ago. And in the last couple of years, we had some Dutch programmers, and the platform is growing. So it is a kind of platform we create on PHP with the E2 framework. Maybe some people know it. And what we wanted to do is to improve the system, to refactor it to a new version, a better version. Together with improving their working process. So we were used with working with programmers here in Groningen. I asked them to program something, and they returned it to me, and I tested it. But in the last years, I think 2 years, we started to improve our company, especially the way how we worked, how we deliver things, how we plan things to program. And actually, we were looking for two things. One thing is a very well programmer, but also for a company that could help us to improve our working process here in the company. And I read something about Scrum, I read something about Jira, but we never used it before. And this collaboration with AMSTERDAM was really perfect way for us to learn about Scrum, about Jira. How can we implement that in our company so that our local programmers, right now we have 3 local programmers and 1 programmer in Poland, Albert, how they can work together in a really structured way. So we can deliver a software very well, we can test it, we can make great plannings, and we can communicate with our clients. And AMSTERDAM helped us very well with that process. And especially, what convinced me to work with AMSTERDAM, for example, was that they say, okay, we also have people that can help you to streamline the process of programming. And then we met Paulina, and Paulina is a Scrum Master from Amsterdam Standards, and she helped us very well to implement or Jira to set it up, to instruct our programmers here in Groningen, as well as Albert, how to work with Jira. And it was really nice and pleasant experience.
Yeah. So it's actually the guidance that that made you feel comfortable, of course.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
Right. Yeah. And so, of course, I mean, it's if you look at our process, it's similar. It's to some extent, of course, similar to what we've done with SignD. It's also looking at your case, what you need. Introduced several partners. You've spoken to them, and you've made your decision, to go with Amsterdam Standard. Of course, that's why you are here as well, and that's why Amsterdam Standard is here. Leopold is here as well. So, was it before you actually made the decision that you were helped by Amsterdam Standard, or was there any other reason that you got convinced?
I had 7 conversations with 7 different partners. We did some interviews, and the nice thing about Leopold was all the other partners were presenting themselves, and Leopold was asking me from what do I need, what can we do for you? So it was a different approach. I really appreciated that one. And he also told me about the whole Jira and Scrum implementation process. That was the second factor. The third thing, they are here situated in Europe, and that was really convenient. So if we need to, we can fly there and we can talk to them on person to person.
Yeah, and if I may add something to that, something, what I liked was that Leopold had his roots in the Netherlands, and we noticed that the company culture and also the culture of the people working at Amsterdam Standard in Poland is very close to our culture, and so we noticed that was a good fit for that too.
Yeah,
which is important.
Okay, and so. Yeah, especially like we said earlier, it's the same cultural background. It's close by. It's easy to visit. It's easier to to some extent keep control, of course. And having Leopold in the Netherlands makes it to some extent even better. So I would say, Leopold, what is then your, we have 2 cases here. What is your usually onboarding process? If someone, wants to start with Nearshore Development, what is the usual process?
Well, usually I just start with a simple phone call where I try to find out if we can meet the basic requirements of the client. Usually just to check if the right technologies are there, and just some quick scanning of the organization to see if that sounds like an organization that we can help. And the next step is to plan a discovery call. And the discovery call is a session of about an hour and a half. Usually before the discovery call, we sign an NDA so that we can really go into the details and into the code even. Like I already explained in the other case, it's all about the personal match. So we actually want to see, especially in this situation, because Gerjan has been working on this product for a long time, we just want to see what is there, and is that a code base that we can actually work with, and is that a code base that requires a very senior person or rather a junior. Sometimes our clients do not really know themselves well, what would be the suitable profile. So we always dig in with them, try to understand what they have done already, and of course we want to get an understanding of their roadmap so that we know, what kind of team or people or just a single developer we can advise. So yeah, it starts with asking a lot of questions. We want to know all about the company, and then we start looking internally. So usually when we are going to work for a new client, the first person on the team should always be a person that has already proven himself in our organization. That's what we always try. Sometimes it's not possible because the client is really looking for some very rare specialism, but usually we can find somebody internally, and that process usually works that we actually promote somebody, so he will leave an existing team. Will make sure that will be now there will be a good replacement there, and then he will be promoted to a team leader or whatever. It's like it's a very organic process that we also discuss with the other client. In this case, we found a person that already worked with us for, I believe, 4 or 5 years back then. Super nice, talkative, communicative guy that we thought would be a great personal match with Gerjan, and who almost had like all the checkboxes for the technology. And also his background there mattered. So he came from a project where he actually didn't like his client too much. That client was stressing out, was not following, was actually not willing to improve his processes. So for us, it was pretty much a decision: will we frustrate him more? Will he eventually leave us because of that, or will we help him as well with finding a better client, a better project? So so that's why we eventually came up with Albert, which seems to be a very good, I think, personal match. He is super happy about working with the team, and I think we see that Gerjan is probably one of the best product owners that we have in all of our clients. The way he describes tasks and tickets is just like like a feast to work with for a developer. So that's awesome, and that's actually why they can be successful together. Because in this situation, we didn't do like I have visited their office once with Paulina, but the developer didn't go there yet. I'm not sure if it's going to happen later, but apparently it's not needed here, and that's just because the communication is that good. And indeed, Paulina helped them a bit moving forward, but they already actually had some really nice internal processes. So it also proves that if everything is already working well, then it can also work easily. And of course, here it's they didn't drink together, but there's a lot of chit-chatting going on and sharing of personal stuff in life. So it's not that they just see him as developer. I think they kind of know him as a person already. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do hear stories from you guys from them. So
for me, from Groningen, it doesn't matter anymore if Albert is in Poland or the employee is. We consider it as one team. So everybody is just an employee of Noob Online, and that works very great. So I can't see the difference anymore between guys here in Groningen or in Poland. So it's really nice.
Yeah. And that I would say that's the ultimate form, right? To actually create one team, no matter where they're based, and it gives you a lot of flexibility. Of course, if you manage to do this, you can do it with many people. What is your opinion on I would say the collaboration with Albert? I mean, I believe it's of course it would be great, but could you ever imagine that it could have been like this?
No, it was very. In the beginning, we were also very suspicious. How will it work? Does it work? Can we do that online? What are the possibilities? And then we said together with Alex, we said, okay, let's try it for 1 or 2 months, and then we will see what happens. If it will work very well or not. And it surprised us. It worked very well, and we continued it. And now, it's a normal way of working. So it's perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so Alex, in our one of our conversations, you mentioned before that you have had additional benefits from the collaboration with Amsterdam Standard that you didn't foresee before starting this venture. Can you maybe explain to the audience what that was?
Yeah. I think the biggest one for me was to see that the level of the way we work raised. So we really improved as a team, and what we experienced is that we got a lot of knowledge from Paulina and also from the software developer Albert. We got a lot of experience from that team we otherwise would never have, because we are really focused on one product. And we saw the difference when the other two people, they worked on a lot of different projects. So they had a lot of experience from different markets, different niches. And so they added that experience to our team. And so it really improved the knowledge as our total team. Yeah.
I would say not only the product itself, of course, because of the development, but also the general knowledge of I would say the company.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it improved in the way we work, and also how to look at specific solutions or cases where we're working on.
Yeah, and so Alex, what is your we've been talking for quite a while, and helping you with this. How do you experience our additional value to you as a company?
Yeah, again, I'm very happy that we went in. I think it's very tempting to just go for one company and have a conversation and to work with them. What I really liked is that you made a pre-selection out of all your partners, and maybe seven. There was still 7 companies we had to talk to. Maybe it's a lot, but I'm very happy that we talked to all of them, because then we could see the difference. We get an idea of which questions we have to ask. So for us, it was also a bit of learning process by talking to a lot of partners. And I would say I don't know why we use more partners in this case. So usually it's around 4 partners that we introduce, but maybe your case required it, and to get you the best results, of course. But a bit pushing or demanding, but we really want to work with one. So, and I know.
Yeah. Okay. So, looking at the time, I would say that we need to go to some questions. So, if people, I believe some people have already entered some questions. This is a question I think is interesting. So, why did you go to Shore teams to help you find the right partner instead of doing this on your own? Eric is asking. So, Alex or Geon, one of you can answer that, I think.
I can answer that question. I have been to a lot of trips in the past, to for example, to Romania, Bulgaria, other countries, to find new teams and or find new companies to work with. But from the past, I know it costs a lot of time by figuring it out, by identifying the companies to set up the trip. So it can cost you months, and what I liked is that you're like a filter. You already filtered out a lot of companies, and you have a complete overview of the different companies in the different countries, which would take us months, maybe years, to find everything out. So you were really shortcutting this process by finding the right partner, because it has gone through a few filters of you, and of course you had experience with several partners where your clients are already working with. So it really shortcutted the selection process a lot, and it prevented us from making mistakes. Because if you take a lot of time to travel and to meet, it can take you months, and when you start to work together and it doesn't work, 4, 5, 6 months is nothing, and then you have to start all over. And I think you really shortcutted that process for us. So we really grateful for that, and I think that's the largest, biggest added value for your company.
I remember one question from you which I really liked, which was, if this was your business, who would you choose? Right, and I believe I gave you an honest answer, and that's also what you chose, which was Amsterdam.
Yeah. And maybe one thing
Okay, so
yeah. Do you have more
yeah.
time? You want to stop?
Well, no.
Okay, I want to
Take it.
add. We have our solution. Our platform is becoming the standard in the Netherlands when it comes to new real estate, and our platform, as you can imagine, because we're growing bigger and bigger, it's very important to have everything secure, stable, and we cannot allow that our platform is not running for an hour, for example. And we are processing around 6,000-7,000 transactions per year, new real estate transactions per year, which comes down to 3 or 4 billion euros coming through our system. So it's really important for us to have a very good and stable platform, and that was what we were looking for, to raise to set a higher standard internally, and again, the external partners really helped us with that.
Yeah, and so one final question from well, it doesn't say a name, so it doesn't matter. What is your list of things that you would make that would what is a list? What is your list of things that will make you choose a nearshore development company? So basically, what did Amsterdam Standard or any other could have been any other company boxes did they check?
Yeah, I think it's from two parts. I think I'm not the technical officer, because I'm the CEO, you can say. So I'm looking at culture, and is there a personal match? Do we find each other in a personal way? That's what I'm looking for. Can I rely on a person? Can I rely on the company? Can I trust the company? That's what I'm looking for. And are they dedicated and are taking responsibility? It's no problem if things go wrong. But what I want to see is, are they taking responsibility if something goes wrong? That's what I'm looking for. And I think Jan, you can add it from more the technical stand of view.
Yes, it's funny. I found the email that I sent to myself with the questions for Leopold. In that time, it was 10th of October 2019, 1 year ago. And a couple of practical questions from my side were, how is the English from the programmer? How much do we meet with the programmers? Do I deliver really big chunks of functionality, or do I need to deliver small parts? How do we need to pay them? Pay them per hour, per sprint, per week? That were questions. How is testing implemented? Do they work from the office or do they work from home? That were some questions. What kind of educations do the people have? Are they all university educated or self-educated? How long are they working already there? And how is the legal things arranged? So that were some questions that were on my list. And yeah, they were all checked in this case. So I was very happy.
I believe we need to, slowly get to an end of the webinar. I would say people are looking forward to the weekend, I believe. So let me get to some final words. If I would like to first of all thank all of the guests, Leopold van Oosten from Amsterdam Standard, of course Bernard Ruiter and Lisandro Aguilar from SignD, and Alex van Ginniken and Gerard Steenbeek from Nieuwbouw Online. Thank you all very much for being here, being with us today, and sharing your experiences with the audience. If anyone in the audience is, as I mentioned before, is considering nearshoring and you would like to know more, how you can do it and understand more of these cases, or you have maybe a specific situation and you want us to look at it, just reach out, and I'll, when we end this this webinar, I'll leave the screen open with the URL I gave you before. So if you need any help, we can check how we can help you, and be more than happy to. Again, once more, thank you very much for attending. We have a checklist. I told told you, we have a small giveaway. So for everyone who was included in the webinar, we have a small checklist for outstaffing. We have, I believe, your email addresses, so you will get it automatically. And the same goes for, like I said at the beginning, we have recorded this webinar, so you can look at it at a later time as well. And again, if you have questions, just reach out. We'll be more than happy to help. Thanks again, everyone. I wish you a great weekend already, and I hope to speak to you soon.